I used to feel like I was constantly bracing for the next money crisis. Every time rent went up or groceries cost more than expected, it wasn't just frustrating, it was exhausting. No matter how careful I tried to be, I still felt behind. And what made it worse was the pressure to fix it all at once, start side hustles, budget, perfectly make smart investments, while I was just trying to make it to the end of the month. This video isn't about mastering money. It's about stepping back from the noise and exploring how financial minimalism can make things feel lighter, not by doing more, but by needing less. Let's walk through what that looks like in real life. Wait 72 hours. Impulse spending isn't always loud. Sometimes it's just a quiet scroll, a half-full cart, a maybe later that turns into why not. Now, one thing that's helped me cut way back on unnecessary purchases is a simple rule: pause before buying. Not forever, just long enough to reset. For me, that pause is usually 72 hours. If I still want it after that, I'll reconsider. But most of the time the urge fades, and I forget about it completely. I started using this with things like clothes and skincare, but now I apply it to almost everything, even groceries. That limited time deal, it'll be back. And if not, that's okay too. When you start adding space between want and buy, your spending habits change, and so does your stress level. Spend on what you actually care about. A lot of us spend money like we're trying to solve a feeling: boredom, stress, guilt, even ambition. But financial minimalism isn't just about spending less. It's about spending with intention. One shift that made a big difference for me was asking a single question before every purchase. Is this aligned with what actually matters to me? That mindset helped me stop buying things just to feel productive or on track. Like upgrading my laptop because other people were doing creative work faster, even though mine still worked fine. Or buying organizing bins for stuff I didn't even need. Now, if I spend, it's on things that support how I want my life to feel: calm mornings, less clutter, more freedom to say yes to last-minute plans. Spending in alignment won't make your life perfect, but it makes your choices feel more honest, and that feels like real progress. Would you want it? Full price. Sales used to be my weakness. I'd walk into a store for toothpaste and leave with a new mug, 2 throw pillows, and a candle I didn't even like, but hey, it was 40% off. The problem is, most deals just distract us from what we actually need. Financial minimalism flipped that for me. Now I don't ask, how much am I saving? I ask, would I want this at full price? If the answer's no, I put it back. That one question has helped me walk away from so many impulse buys that used to clutter up my space and drain my energy. You're not missing out by skipping the sale. You're just choosing peace over noise, cash or pass. This one's blunt, but it works. If I can't afford it in full, it's a no. I used to convince myself small purchases didn't count: a lunch here, a quick click there. But they added up, and worse, they normalized debt as a daily tool. Now I only spend what's already in my account. That doesn't mean I never use cards. It just means the money has to be there first. No guessing, no borrowing from my future self. Living this way might seem strict, but honestly, it's freeing. No more mental math or end-of-month guilt. Just clean boundaries that make money feel simpler. When cutting back isn't the answer. Sometimes you're not overspending, you're just under-earning, and no budget trick in the world will fix that. It's frustrating when every piece of advice assumes there's extra to trim. But what if you've already done that? What if your spending is bare bones and you're still barely scraping by? That's where minimalism isn't just about saving, it's about adjusting what you expect from yourself. Instead of pushing to earn more in a panic, I gave myself permission to earn enough for now. I paused the pressure to hustle and focused on creating calm. That looked like picking up part-time work that fit my schedule, not overhauling my life overnight. It looked like lowering my standards, not my self-worth, and finding temporary solutions that gave me breathing room. Financial minimalism isn't just about the numbers. It's about refusing to measure your value by them. Let's get back to something more visible, but just as sneaky. Shrink the spend, not the life. I used to think living below your means meant living small, like shrinking your life just to save money. But over time, I realized it's the opposite. When you spend less than you earn, you're not limiting your life. You're making space for it. Space to handle emergencies without panic. Space to leave a job you hate. Space to breathe. For us, that looked like setting a hard line. We'd never spend more than 70% of what we brought in. Some months were tighter than others. But we adjusted, swapped takeout for leftovers, said no to upgrades we didn't need, bought used more often. That decision gave us control, not over everything, but enough to feel steady when life got unpredictable. Don't let one upgrade spiral. I once bought a new rug, just a rug, and ended up questioning everything else in the room. Suddenly, the couch looked old. The curtains didn't match. I found myself online shopping for throw pillows I didn't even like. That's the Diderot effect. One upgrade makes everything else feel not good enough. And it's sneaky because it feels like progress. Now I pause when that feeling kicks in. If something's truly worn out or not working, I'll replace it. But I don't chase the ripple effect anymore. I've learned to be okay with good enough, even if it doesn't match. Less matching, more meaning. When convenience costs more than you think. It's easy to mistake convenience for necessity, but fast fixes often cost more than they save. Food delivery, ride shares, one-day shipping. These things are designed to be invisible until your bank statement tells another story. I used to tell myself it was just this once because I was tired or busy. But eventually, I realized I wasn't buying time, I was buying avoidance. Now I check in with myself. Am I paying for this because I genuinely need help today, or because I'm too burned out to plan ahead? If it's the second one, I try to pause and make a different choice. That might mean a freezer meal instead of takeout, or walking 5 minutes longer to avoid a ride app. This isn't about guilt. It's about awareness. When you know what convenience is really costing you, not just in money, but in momentum, you can decide when it's worth it. Let's zoom out again for a mindset shift that brings it all together. Zoom out from the panic. For a long time, I was focused on quick fixes. Cut this subscription, cancel that order, skip the coffee, but it all felt like chasing pennies while still feeling stuck. The mindset shift came when I started thinking in decades, not days. What habits will still serve me 10 years from now? What choices today make future life easier, not harder? It doesn't have to be huge. Opening a savings account just for emergencies. Taking 5 minutes to check your budget once a week. Saying no to something small so you can say yes to something bigger later. When you zoom out, the pressure to be perfect right now softens. And that's where real momentum starts. Notice the tiny drains. I used to ignore the tiny expenses. A quick snack, a random app subscription, that cheap item at checkout. None of them felt like a big deal until my account balance told a different story. The truth is, small leaks drain more than your wallet. They drain your attention. They make you feel like you're always behind even when you're trying. Now, I try to plug those leaks early. I unsubscribe from what I don't use. I keep snacks in my bag to avoid expensive emergency stops. I use cash more often, so I actually feel the trade. It's not about being strict. It's about noticing. And when you do, you start to feel in control again, one small plug at a time. Needing help doesn't mean you failed. Minimalism helps you need less, but sometimes the math still doesn't work. And that's okay to admit. There was a season when we tried everything to make one income stretch. Cutback meal plan, DIY, the whole list. But no matter what we trimmed, there just wasn't enough. That's when we realized sometimes minimalism means accepting reality, not fighting it. Instead of blaming ourselves, we got creative. My partner picked up a few freelance projects. I joined a local babysitting network just once a week. We weren't chasing more, just building a little buffer. That margin didn't change everything, but it changed how we felt. Minimalism isn't about doing it all alone. Sometimes it's about letting in just enough help to get steady again. Now let's wrap this up. Financial minimalism isn't about doing everything right. It's about doing a little less of what drains you and a little more of what gives you room to breathe. Even one small shift, like pausing before a purchase or setting a spending limit, can ease the mental weight that money stress tends to carry. If life feels a little lighter after trying something from today's video, that's enough. And if this helped, feel free to like or subscribe, no pressure, just if it felt useful to you.